This is the Eargasm on Brayford Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Eargasm.
With me, Amy.
And me, Jake. Coming up on the show, we'll have Paul Money coming in to talk to us about the Juno spacecraft.
We are going to be chatting to Keith Hebblewhite about his experience as an Olympic torchbearer.
Oh, it was absolutely electric.
And we'll be finding out what this guy is talking about.
Vermicious Cnid.
But first, we'll be finding out about this year's Rio Olympics.
The Rio Olympics on the Eargasm.
It's 2016, it's the year of the Olympics. This year, the Olympics being held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil from the 5th of August to the 21st of August. Rio is the first South American city to host the Summer Olympics. 154 nations have qualified so far, but 206 are expected to compete, with Kosovo, South Sudan competing for the first time. There are 306 sets of medals and 26 sports, with golf, sevens rugby and kitesurfing being added to the programme.
The 2016 Rio Olympics are fast approaching, so I took to the streets to find out what people are most looking forward to.
I think gymnastics.
Athletics, the 100 metres, 200 metres, 400, 800 and 1500 metres.
Probably the 100 metre sprint.
Synchronised diving.
Javelin.
Do you think there should be any other sports included in the 2016 Rio Olympics?
Tenpin bowling, definitely.
I think I'd have to say abseiling.
Surfing.
Mixed martial arts.
Which country do you think will win the most medals this year in the Olympics?
China.
America.
Either Britain or Jamaica.
China or Japan.
China.
Who are you most looking forward to seeing in the next Olympics?
Sir Steve Redgrave.
Daley Thompson.
Mo Farah.
Usain Bolt.
Overall, everyone is dead excited about the upcoming Olympics, but our special guest, Keith Hebblewhite, a former 2012 Olympic torchbearer, seems the most excited of them all.
I'm a track and field man, solely really. It'll take all my time up, and by the time that Rio's finished, my wife will be wanting to go out somewhere. So yes, I'm looking forward to that. But there's nothing like being in the stadium to see it live.
What are your most memorable parts of the 2012 Olympics?
The crowds. Oh, it was absolutely electric. I was so excited I should be running with the torch. Picked out of 8,000 people, and I would be one of them.
Can you tell us a bit about why you were nominated?
My son-in-law and my sister-in-law said, I think somebody ought to nominate you, Keith. So I said, why? Well, you did some fundraising, and you helped Vera Dean in 1983 to raise some money for a body scanner in Lincolnshire. We didn't have a body scanner in Lincolnshire in 1983, believe it or not. There's probably two a penny now, but they weren't then. And so I queued all night outside the sorting office in Lincoln, and I got a place in the 1983 London Marathon. And I ran that. I was after a time of 200 minutes, and I was 15 seconds short because I had a bit of a walk. So I more or less did it in 3 hours 20. And I decided to raise money and did a little bit of competition, who can get my time right. And I raised quite a bit of money, nearly £1,000 anyway, for Vera Dean body scanner. And then, of course, I've been into track and field all my life, and I've followed Team GB all over the world. I started off in Crystal Palace, and then I started going abroad to Germany, Prague for the European Championships, Moscow Olympics, Sydney, and then I went to Greece, Athens, went to Canada, World Championships, European Games, and then obviously was all delighted when London got the Olympics for 2012. So I started searching high and low for tickets. So I'm a big supporter of Team GB, and I still am.
In 2012, Keith Hebblewhite ran with the torch for 600 yards through Lincoln for the London Olympic Games, then continued to follow Team GB in their progress. Our reporter Chris Bamford will be live later in the show with Keith at his home.
What Olympic sports are you looking forward to?
I'm quite looking forward to the volleyball, but I'm looking forward to seeing how kitesurfing goes, to be fair.
I think kitesurfing's an interesting one. I don't think golf is going to do too well. I think it's just a bit too boring.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind playing it a little bit, but I think just to sit and watch it for the Olympics, where it's meant to be quite exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it really fits. I don't think it works.
Sevens rugby could be a good thing, though.
I think it's interesting to introduce new sports. It's good to keep it fresh.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, it might stray away a bit from sort of the more traditional side of it, I guess.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah. But anyway, so you're listening to The Eargasm. You can find us on www.theeargasm2016 at wix.com/theeargasm. You can find us on Instagram at theeargasm, Snapchat at theeargasm, Twitter at theeargasm16, and you can also find us on Facebook by searching The Eargasm, and you'll be able to watch us live on our Facebook feed.
A trip to Jupiter on the Eargasm. It's going to be out of this world.
Now, the Juno spacecraft is due to arrive at Jupiter in July of this year. If the mission is a success, then we might just be able to understand a bit more about the solar system and the universe itself. The sole purpose of the mission is to understand the evolutionary stages of Jupiter and to get a better understanding of the planet's resources. The Juno spacecraft was launched in August 2011 and began its 5-year journey to Jupiter, but that journey is to come to an end with the estimated arrival date of July 4th, 2016.
The Juno spacecraft left Earth on August 5th, 2011 and is destined to arrive at Jupiter on July 4th, 2016. The launch of the Juno mission in August 2011 began a 5-year journey to Jupiter to investigate the remaining unanswered questions beneath the surface of the mysterious gas planet. When the spacecraft lands, scientists will be able to determine what the rest of the universe looks like based on the properties of the Jupiter core. I interviewed Alex and MJ about how they think the Juno space shuttle will profit us in how we see Jupiter.
As it's a gaseous planet, there's quite a thick layer of cloud that covers it, so we don't quite fully understand properly what lies underneath that layer. It's more or less just to get a closer look of the planet and get a better understanding of how the layers of the gas works and whether there's a core that, obviously there's a core, whether the core, how that functions separately to the core from our Earth and other planets that we have studied. As well as generally we have theories of how our solar system functions and how the universe functions, that it would just allow us to get a much more in-depth idea of whether those theories are correct and whether we can expand on those theories to get more information about our solar system in the future.
Other than measuring how much water is in its atmosphere, we're also going to find out the composition, cloud motion and temperature of its atmosphere, as well as mapping its magnetic and gravitational fields. As of yet, we know so little about the planet and its properties, so this mission will greatly help us to determine how much water is in Jupiter's atmosphere, which will reveal which theory on planet formation is the right one, or if new theories are needed.
Do you think we'll find any living organisms on Jupiter?
It's definitely potential that there could be something there. Jupiter doesn't have a solid surface to it, so life as we understand it and we know on Earth definitely could not exist because it's just a completely gaseous planet. As far as carbon-based life forms go, it's unlikely that we're going to find anything like that. Microscopic life forms, or maybe even on some sort of crazy other physical level, a gaseous life form potentially could exist there, but that's all part of the discovery. That's why we're heading up there.
We have seen that there is a possibility for life on other planets, mainly Mars, but you have to understand Mars has very different conditions. Jupiter has a much harsher atmosphere. The air pressure is 1,000 times that of Earth and the wind can hit up to 400 miles per hour in the upper atmosphere. That would make it significantly harder even to get a shuttle down.
That's what two space enthusiasts had to say about the Juno spacecraft and its exploration. Though we know what we want to find out, we'll have to wait until July to get any answers, all of which will be at least a 30-minute delay due to the distance the information has to travel. The spacecraft will orbit Jupiter 37 times, staying up there for 20 months. At the end of this, in February 2018, the spacecraft will be put into a controlled deorbit into Jupiter, and the project will come to a close. I'm Jake Bardwell, reporting for The Eargasm on Brayford Radio.
And that was Lincolnshire correspondent Jake Bardwell giving us that report on the Juno spacecraft mission. Now we are joined here in the studio by Paul Money. Thank you very much for being here, Paul.
Hi, Amy.
And for those of you who don't know, Paul Money is an English amateur astronomer who has a strong passion for astronomy and all things space. He is involved with public astronomy events in Lincolnshire, and in 2012 saw the publication of his book Night Scenes Guide to Simple Astrophotography, as well as being awarded the Sir Arthur Clarke Lifetime Achievement Award for 2012. So, Paul, what are we expected to learn from this mission?
Well, the thing about Juno is that going to Jupiter is not easy, and Jupiter is a gas giant planet. It's the largest planet in the solar system, and so if we can understand that one, then we have a better idea probably how the solar system formed, because they think Jupiter is what we might call a primeval gas giant planet. It's made up of the original stuff that formed the solar system, so it'll help us understand how our solar system came to be.
Okay. So do you think that it's going to be worth the cost and the time put into the journey?
Well, I think the cost is one of these red herrings whereby it sounds expensive, but then you have to take that as the cost over the entire length of the mission and also the development phase. So we're not talking about just, an odd 2 or 3 years here. We're talking probably over a decade. So although it's $1.1 billion US, it's actually over a very long period, and it provides work. It's not just, there's the spacecraft, we've just bought it for 1.1 billion. It's the people who have built it, the technicians, and then you've got to remember the places where they build these things, they're going to have their own caterers, so they get paid. So it's a feed-down effect sort of thing. There's all sorts of people involved in these projects, not just the scientists and technicians and the actual results we get from it afterwards.
Okay.
Is it normal for NASA to deorbit a spacecraft into a planet, and would it not cause damage to it?
Well, the idea, I'm presuming you mean damage to the planet. Well, Jupiter is such a large planet. It's going to inevitably damage the spacecraft, I can guarantee you that, because that's the idea. The idea is that with Jupiter we have one moon called Europa, which is rather unusual. It may have liquid water under its icy outer layer. Sounds like a Malteser now, doesn't it, sort of thing? You start getting hungry with multiple layers like that. And the thing about this is that there is a possibility for life. So the last thing you need is the spacecraft to go out of control and crash onto something like Europa, because it could contaminate it. So it's easier and better to literally have it burn up in Jupiter's atmosphere. They have done it before with the Galileo space probe that went to Jupiter. So it's the best, safest option so it doesn't contaminate Europa.
Okay. So are you going to be staying up to date with the Juno mission?
Oh, I try to keep up to date with the vast majority of space missions that are actually on the go, but there's so many now, it actually is getting quite a challenge to try and keep all the images downloaded and keep up to date, but I do try my best.
So on a similar topic, on the 9th of May, I believe, this year, the transit of Mercury will occur. What is it, and is there any way we can view it?
Well, fun enough, I came prepared for that. Well, actually, the transit of Mercury is one of those things whereby there's only 2 planets that can pass between us and the Sun, and the circumstances have to be dead right. So it's all got to line up. So we haven't seen one like this since 2003. So, there are quite decent periods of time between them. So you've got to be very careful. We have specialised solar filters that reduce the light from the Sun if you use through optics, and they are always put at the front of the optics, not behind, because it is very dangerous to look at the Sun. But it's fascinating to see one of the rare times when the innermost planet actually crosses the disk of the Sun, and it'll start about 12:12 BST sort of thing, so just after midday, and then finish at about 20:08 in the evening. So even if you're working, or at school or at university, there will be some point whereby you might be able to look hopefully safely at the Sun. We have specialised glasses, solar filter glasses, to view it safely, but you shouldn't look at it directly because it is dangerous. The Sun is a bright object after all.
It is indeed. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for coming down to talk to us, Paul.
It's been a pleasure.
And make sure that you all catch the transit of Mercury and keep up to date with the Juno spacecraft.
Thank you.
And on the theme of space, we are going to go to Life on Mars by David Bowie.
It's a god-awful small affair to the girl with the mousy hair, but her mummy is yelling no, and her daddy has told her to go, but her friend is nowhere to be seen. Now she walks through her sunken dream to the seat with the clearest view, and she's hooked to the silver screen. But the film is a sad thing for she's lived it 10 times or more. could spit in the eyes of fools as they ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the low man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if you'll ever know who's in the best-selling show. Is their life on Mars? It's on America's tortured brow that Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow. And now the workers have struck for fame, 'cause Lennon's on sale again. See the mice in their million hordes, from Ibiza to the Norfolk Broads. Rule Britannia is out of bounds, to my mother, my dog and clowns. But the film is a sad thing more, 'cause I wrote it 10 times or more. It's about to be writ again, as I ask you to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the law man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if you'll ever know who's in the best-selling show. Is their life on Mars?
Join us for a story about 100 years of Roald Dahl.
It's the 100-year anniversary of children's author Roald Dahl on September 13th, 2016. We celebrate 100 years of a prized author who's written for such famous books as The Twits and Matilda. Our reporter Amy Corner is on the scene talking to Nick, a bookshop worker, and some of you on the events to do with Roald Dahl's anniversary.
The 13th of September 2016 will mark the 100th birthday of the famous children's author Roald Dahl. His notable works such as The Twits and Matilda entertained generations, and I was lucky enough to catch up with Nick, who works in a local bookshop, to find out if his books are still as popular today. I also had the chance to talk to some of you about your opinions of the man himself. How popular are the Roald Dahl books in bookstores today, and how do you think this compares to their popularity when they were initially published?
I think their popularity's been constant, really. Popularity is pretty much, I think, similar. You get a lot of people coming in and buying books for their grandkids, Roald Dahl, because obviously that's what they grew up with.
Has the 100th birthday of Roald Dahl increased the number of sales of his books?
Yes, I think that the talk of like the 100th birthday, I think, is help advertise, is books, and that's quite helped to increase the sales.
How has the recreation of Roald Dahl's The Big Friendly Giant in film influenced the sales of the book?
To be fair, I'm not really sure if it has. I mean, people are going to see the film and not read the book. I haven't really noticed a difference, but maybe when it actually comes out, it might be different.
Why do you think the books written by Roald Dahl, such as Matilda and James and the Giant Peach, have become so iconic when other authors attempting to reach such a status have seen far less success?
His writing is really good, but I think it's mainly due to his illustrations. Quentin Blake's illustrations just kind of made it iconic. You could see a style of Quentin Blake and you'll always associate it with Roald Dahl.
Are you a fan of the Roald Dahl books?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I used to read them all the time when I was younger.
What was your favourite Roald Dahl book?
Matilda, because I really loved the film and I watched it over and over again when I was little.
Do you see Roald Dahl books lasting as well as they have for another 100 years?
Yeah, I think they're timeless, and I think their popularity is definitely going to last another 100 years.
Are you aware that this year celebrates the 100th birthday of Roald Dahl?
Oh, no, I wasn't actually. That's really quite interesting.
Did you ever read Roald Dahl when you were younger? Or did you read it to your kids?
I probably did read it when I was younger, because obviously it's been around for a long time, or his books have been around for a long time, but I can't exactly say what I probably would have read.
What was yours or your children's favourite book?
I think the first one that springs to mind is probably James and the Giant Peach.
Did you ever read Roald Dahl books in school?
Yes, we read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. I think we may have actually done James and the Giant Peach as well.
Were his books particularly popular with you and your classmates?
Yeah, fabulously. Just having words like vermicious Cnid was something that children would say just after reading bits of the book, and the concept of having an elevator which flew into space and met monsters and aliens was superb for them.
What was your favourite Roald Dahl book?
It has to be Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The characters are just superb.
So clearly, Roald Dahl is still as loved as ever, and I would place my bets that he will live on through his work for many more generations to come.
That was bookshop employee Nick ending our reporter Amy Corner's report on Roald Dahl's 100th anniversary.
Now, Sam Bruce, our two-way reporter, is going to tell us a bit more about Roald Dahl.
Well, Roald Dahl was born in Llanlaff, Cardiff in 1916, and also in his young age he served in the RAF, fighting as fighter pilot in World War II. He also, during his time, he wrote The Gremlins, which was commissioned by Walt Disney, which is now became a cult hit. Also, in the 1980s, just before his short death, he also wrote most of his most famous books. And now he's a cult legend today upon many children, and everybody likes to read his books, and he's also had a lot of film adaptations, such as Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda.
Well, thank you very much, Sam, for giving us that information. And on the subject of Roald Dahl, here is pure imagination from the 1971 movie adaptation Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Hold your breath. Make a wish. Count to 3.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world? There's nothing to it. No life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there you'll be free if you truly wish to be. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
This is the Eargasm on Brayford Radio.
You might have remembered earlier in the show, we said that Keith Hebblewhite would be on the show, so we're now going to go live to our reporter, Chris Bamford, who will be talking to the Lincoln 2012 Olympic torchbearer, Keith Hebblewhite, about his experience as a torchbearer and his thoughts on this year's Rio Olympics. Chris, you there?
Hello, I am here with Keith Hebblewhite, Olympic torchbearer in the London 2012 Olympics. Hello, Keith.
Hello there. Nice to meet you.
So, you ran with the Olympic torch in 2012, obviously. So, how did you feel when you got the news that you'd be running with the torch?
Well, I've been waiting for quite some time because it was. I got nominated in October of 2011, and when the news finally came, I was absolutely gobsmacked in 2012, and so excited. I'd been bottling it up for quite a long time, so then I could tell everybody that I was going to be carrying the torch.
So, how long did you run with the torch for?
I ran for 300 metres. 600 metres. I was supposed to be 300 metres, and I got chosen, being as I was a runner, to run an extra 300 metres, so that was a bonus.
Do you know why you were chosen to run the extra length?
I don't know whether somebody was missing on the next slot, but I didn't care about that. I got an extra 300 metres to run.
So you followed Team GB to other Olympics around the world, like Sydney and London, obviously. So will you be following them to Rio this year?
No, I shan't. No, my wife is not well. I can't leave her. I would go otherwise, but I also went to Moscow as well in 1980. So I've done 3 Olympics. I'll watch this lot on the television.
Is there any event you're looking forward to most?
Well, definitely I'm track and field man. I love track and field. I like to watch all the heats and finals and all the lot, not just one day, or I go every day.
So this year, several new events have been added to the Olympics, such as windsurfing, sixes rugby, and golf. Do you think there are any other sports that should be or you'd like to be included?
Well, no, they've set the limit at that, and it's the rugby sevens, which will be quite interesting. Not so keen on golf being on for the millionaires being on the in the Olympics, but I shouldn't mind tug of war. But a show of strength, a team event as well. But they've set the stall at 28 events.
Well, that's all we have time for. Thank you, Keith, for your time. So that was Keith Hebblewhite, Olympic torchbearer. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Chris. And if you want any more information on Keith Hebblewhite or the Rio Olympics, check out our website.
We're going to give a quick shout out to Amy Knowles, Mia Green and KNKN on Twitter, who have been tweeting us throughout the show.
But yeah, so we're sort of in the final stretches now, but we've still got a little bit to go.
So make sure that you all check us out on social media. Go to the Eargasm on Facebook and Instagram, and it's at the Eargasm 16 on Twitter or the Eargasm on Snapchat.
If you have nothing better to do for the next minute, 2 minutes, why don't you go hop onto Facebook and watch us live?
And that is unfortunately all we have got time for this week. If you want to find out more about any of the events we've mentioned on the show, head over to our website www.theeargasm2016 at wix.com/theeargasm.
Or head to our social media. That's the Eargasm on Facebook, the Eargasm16 on Twitter, and the Eargasm on Instagram and Snapchat.
Thank you all very much for listening to the Eargasm on Brayford Radio.
And stay tuned in for a jump back to the 90s to reminisce films from the past with Real Film Radio 90s edition, coming up next on Brayford Radio.
This is Brayford Radio.